So welcome back to Yoga with Jules, or welcome for the first time if this is your first time watching one of my videos. But today we're going to be going through a really nice, quick, gentle flow for lower back pain. So I know a lot of us are suffering from this kind of pain, even if you're someone like me who stretches every day and really try to focus on being super conscious of the way that my body feels. It's really something that comes back over and over again, especially if you can't really control that you're sitting throughout the day, you're keeping your body pretty rigid. So this is a nice, gentle, quick practice to just kind of alleviate some of that tension. And hopefully it's something that you can keep coming back to whenever you start to feel a little bit of pain in the back. And, it's a good practice for lower back pain, but it's also just a nice, gentle practice to start your day or, right before bed. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you on the mat. All right, so we're going to start today's practice right down on the back on the mat. So just laying down, feeling the whole spine sinking into the mat with the soles of the feet planted, maybe leaving about a foot, I can't tell, maybe 1.5 feet of space between the bum and the heels, palms facing upwards. So right away, if you're someone who experiences a lot of lower back pain, like me, this feels amazing. It's already like you're getting a little mini massage right to the low spine. Relieving a little bit of the pressure. So I really want you to feel the mat pressing up into your spine, and at the same time, the spine pressing down into the mat. So really feeling that support. Wonderful. So just to alleviate some of the tension you might be feeling in the low back right now, we're going to walk the feet, or heel toe the feet out just to the outer edges of the mat, or just so that the outer edge of your feet is aligned with the edge of the mat. And we're going to windshield washer the knees back and forth. So just allowing the knees to spill out to the right, coming back through center, following your own breath cycle here too, and allowing the knees to spill out to the left. I'm just going to do this a couple more times, following your own breath. It's really getting a nice little massage of the lumbar spine here. Should feel amazing. All right, one more time on each side, and then we'll meet back in the center. All right, so walking the feet back into about hip distance apart. Going to bring the right foot to cross over the left knee. So in a kind of figure 4 position here. So for some of us, this is enough. You can already feel the stretch. You might be feeling, quite a stretch through the glute. Also, if you've got any problems with the knees, you might be feeling a bit of pressure on the outside of the knee here. So if that's the case, just stay here and just kind of melt into the pose. Otherwise, if you want to go a bit deeper, we're going to start to walk the left foot back, maybe coming up onto the toes to feel a better stretch on the outside of the hip here. And if you want to go even further, really paying attention to the body to make sure that you're not feeling any pinching in the hip. We're going to lace the arms through that kind of figure 4 shape and clasping either behind the thigh or even right around the shin if that's accessible to you. If you're clasping behind the thigh here, maybe keeping the shin level with the mat. And so what we're really doing here is we're creating space in the hips. And for a lot of us, the lower back pain actually originates from just having really a lot of tightness in the hips, in the hip flexors, even in the glutes and the hamstrings. So often where we feel the pain, it's not really where the source of the pain is coming from. So just a couple more breaths here, maybe creating some gentle movement back and forth, or I should say side to side. I like introducing a bit of movement. I guess it's not the best thing, but I find it really hard to just stay still in these postures because I'm like, it feels so good. A little self-massage, the best. All right, find some stillness here. And if your leg is lifted, plant that left foot back into the mat and coming back to where we started here. All right, other side now. So reaching the left foot over the right knee. Get that figure four position set up here. And again, if you'd like to just stay here, by all means, this is your practice. Otherwise, starting to walk the right foot in a little bit closer to the bum, maybe coming up onto the toes, or maybe reaching to clasp behind the thigh. So I took this variation last time, so I'll do the same thing on this side to keep it even, but you just do whatever feels right for you. Perfect. So really breathing space in through the hip, in through the glutes here. You know, there's this balance through all of these poses where, you know, we want to feel calm and we want to feel relaxed and really kind of surrender to the pose, but at the same time, keep it a bit active. So that's what we're doing right now. So keeping it active by kind of remembering to be pressing just gently, intending that left knee towards the end of the mat there, but also just kind of relaxing the spine into the mat. One more deep breath here, in through the nose and out through the nose to release. Reintroduce the right foot to the mat and the left foot. Wonderful. And now from here, we're just going to lift both of the knees up and wrap the arms around the shins, if this is accessible to you. If not, just placing the hands on the tops of the knees here. And from here, we're going to press the mid-back right into the mat and lift the forehead up to the knees. So just getting a nice stretch through the spine. And release back down to the mat. And now from here, no matter whether you've got the arms over the shins or the hands on the knees, we're going to start to introduce a little bit of movement. So rolling up and down on the spine. So once again, just getting a nice massage. Ooh, squeaky floor. Massage through the spine here. And then finding a bit of momentum, we're going to do one more big roll and come all the way up to seated. We're going to find a cross-legged position here. I'll face you guys, but you just stay wherever you are on the mat. So reaching up nice and tall through the spine. If you've got a pillow handy and you find this a bit uncomfortable, just feel free to prop up the hips on the pillow so that you're able to keep the integrity of the straight spine here. So rolling open through the shoulders. We're going to reach the arms up and overhead. Exhale, twist the trunk to the left side as you reach the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Just going for a nice easy spinal twist here. So this is another thing that is really great for any kind of back tension, actually, whether it's your upper back or your lower back. It's just these gentle twists. Really helps to relieve the muscles around the spine. And inhaling, coming back to center. Reaching the arms up, really reaching through the fingertips. stretching through all four sides of the body and exhaling to the right side this time. The left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. And there's no need to really be, pulling yourself or really exaggerating this stretch at all. We're really focusing on using the muscles of the core to bring us through this twist. Awesome, and release, coming back to center. And from here, we're just gonna roll over the knees, or however you wanna get there, coming to all fours. So untucking the toes, getting a nice neutral spine here. We're gonna inhale, and we're coming for some cat-cow movements here, which is really, really beneficial. Just for spinal flexion, just getting some movement going here. So inhaling, dropping the belly, pulling the chest through the shoulders for cow pose. And exhale, pressing through the palms, pressing the spine up towards the sky. And the gaze is either up at the navel here or just through the legs. Inhaling, coming back up through cow pose. So really making this feel like a wave going across the spine. Exhaling, leading with the lower spine. The head is the last to tuck under. Inhale, reaching through the chest, through the low spine, cow pose, and one last time, pressing into cat. All right, so let's find a neutral spine here. And we're just going to, whether you need to use the hand to kind of facilitate this movement, we're just going to walk the hands out maybe 6 inches forward and walk the right leg in between the hands. So we're in this nice low lunge here. Again, like I was mentioning earlier, a lot of the time this pain that we have in the low back is coming from tightness in other spots. So the hip flexors is another one where we might be experiencing some tightness here. Actually, for most of us, the hip flexors are pretty tight. So this is just a really nice, gentle pose to really start to sink into those hip flexors and get a beautiful stretch out of it. So rolling the shoulders back, taking the weight out of the fingertips, and really just sinking into the pose. This should feel really great if you're experiencing a lot of tightness there. And then rolling the shoulders back, we're going to come up, bringing the fingertips off the mat, and bring the hands to heart center, or the palms to heart center. Inhaling, open up through the chest. Exhale, we're going to twist towards the right side. And now we're going to hook the left elbow to the top of the right knee, and coming to this nice twisted low lunge here. So again, even though we're using the elbow, the action of the elbow pressing into the knee to kind of open us up a little more in this pose, you don't want to be totally relying on just prying yourself through the twist, because then you're not really getting the benefit out of it. So using those muscles of the trunk to kind of twist you towards the back of the room. Awesome. So coming back through center, we're going to bring the fingertips back down to the mat and walk the hips backwards, coming into this nice runner stretch here. So I just moved my right foot back a little bit because I find if this stance is a little too long, I start to feel a bit of tension in the back of the leg here. So just make it work for you. But the goal here, whether you keep a nice generous bend in that knee, is to really get a nice long straight spine, let the head hang heavy, and we're getting a really nice stretch through the glutes. I'm sure you're all feeling it right now, but this is super beneficial if you've got quite a bit of low back pain. So we'll take one more deep breath here, focusing on pulling this right hip back. Should feel a pretty good stretch. And exhale, coming back through center. You're going to plant the palms and just walk the right leg back. So we're back on all fours here. So coming back to a neutral spine, we're just going to go through 2 more cat-cow movements here. Just get some movement going through the spine. Inhaling, dropping the belly. Look up for cow. And exhale, pressing through the spine, tucking the tailbone for cat pose. And one more time, drop the belly. Look up. Really getting some nice space throughout the chest here. And exhale, pressing the spine up towards the ceiling. Great, so let's find a neutral spine here, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So walk the hands out a couple of inches, and using the hand if you need to, we're going to walk the left leg between the hands here. So here we are in our low lunge. Really play with the space between, the horizontal space between the foot and the right knee, and also the distance that you want to keep here, because that's going to make a big difference in whether you're comfortable in this pose or not. And you really do want to be comfortable. We're going to be here for a couple of breaths. So again, not keeping a lot of weight in the fingertips, really getting nice and deep into that hip flexor here. Just one more deep breath here. Great, now roll the shoulders back, walk the fingertips back a couple of inches, and bring the hips kind of over the knee in the back. So I can't really see my alignment here, but you shouldn't be super far back, and you shouldn't be too far forward. So really trying to keep the hips nice and level over the supporting knee. Yeah, this is really just such a good stretch. Even if you don't have lower back pain, but you're really tight through the glutes, through the hamstrings, like a lot of us are who sit for a long time throughout the day. One more deep breath here. So with every breath, really creating space. Exhale, coming back through center. And I forgot our twist, so I'm sorry about that, but we're just going to add that in now. Same difference, so coming up, rolling open through the shoulders, bringing the hands to heart center. We're going to twist over to the left side, hooking the right elbow over the left knee. So sorry, I'm facing away from you here, but really just the same thing we did on the other side. Using the muscles of the trunk, the abdominal muscles, pulling the navel into the spine to facilitate this twist. So just one more deep breath here, maybe looking back at the foot, but not really introducing any unnecessary tension. So if you want to just look straight at the opposite wall, that's totally fine. So inhaling through the nose, exhale through the nose to release the twist, and come back to center. So we're going to walk back onto all fours here, tuck the toes under, walk the palms forward, maybe a foot, and we're going to be coming into our first downward facing dog. So pressing the hips back and up, keeping a nice generous bend in the knees, pressing through all 10 fingers, pressing away from the mat, but keeping a lot of space in the upper back. And what we're actually going to do here is come really nice and high on the toes, bend deeply through the knees, and bring the belly to the tops of the thighs. So what we're doing here is we're really creating a lot of space in the lower back. And specifically with every inhale and exhale, you should feel expansion through the low back here. Again, letting the head hang heavy. So we're introducing space between the vertebrae. All right, one more deep breath in. And exhale to bring the feet, the heels don't have to reach the mat, but just coming back into that more classic downward facing dog. And now from here, we're going to start to slowly walk the feet forward until we're in a forward fold, but keeping the knees nice and bent. Head is hanging heavy, and I'm going to face you guys here, but we're going to bring the feet to a little bit wider than hip distance, maybe, I don't know, I have terrible judge of distance, but like 1.5 feet, maybe. And what we're going to do here is we're going to reach for opposite elbows and just let the head, the whole upper body hang here in ragdoll. And now what I want you to do is introduce a little bit of motion, just whatever feels good, swaying left to right. Maybe swaying in this kind of figure 8 motion. Really just introducing some nice easy movement through the spine. And this kind of movement, well, obviously, I don't think you're probably doing this in the office throughout your workday, but I mean this kind of gentle movement we don't tend to experience very often because we're pretty stiff and rigid, I think, most of us throughout the workday. So it's really good to just kind of loosen up, have some fun with it. And whenever you're ready to find some stillness here, just hanging out. Should really feel like you just grew like 2 inches, like really getting a lot of space through the spine here. And whenever you're ready, just let the fingertips fall down to the mat. We're going to come up to a flat back, walk the heels in just a tad, so toes are pointing out, heels are coming in, and we're going to lower the weight down into this deep squat here, goddess pose. So you're going to notice right away whether you need to play with the space between the heels here. It's super different for everyone. So, and you might have to be up on the toes, and that's totally fine too. So wherever you are, we're just going to gently press the elbows into the knees, bringing the hands to heart center. So again, getting a nice stretch through the groin, through the hips, in all these places that we tend to keep really tense throughout the day. Lovely. So just a bit of gentle tension here. So we don't want to be pressing too hard, don't want to introduce any strain. The spine is nice and tall, reaching through the top of the head. Taking a couple more deep breaths here. This should feel awesome. Creating space with every breath. Great, and on the next exhale, we're just going to let the fingertips come behind us and just come back into a seated, cross-legged position. Actually, we're going to walk the soles of the feet together here for cobbler's pose. So just getting another dimension of a stretch through the groin and through the hips here. So you can be grabbing on at the ankles, interlacing the fingers underneath kind of the outer edge of the feet, whatever feels comfortable for you. Some nice gentle movement here. If you're a fan of the butterfly pose, flap your wings. And then wherever you are, let's find some stillness here. Opening up through the chest, sitting up nice and tall. And now we're going to do something that I don't think we let ourselves do often enough. And really just surrender to the pose. And allow the spine to get super nice and round here. So channeling that cat pose. Really letting the head hang heavy. So you should feel a pretty nice stretch in the lower back here. Great. Now slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time, making sure that the head is the last bit to come up. Sitting up nice and straight now. We're going to use the hands to bring the knees back together. And I'll just spin around here. And placing the hands behind the thighs, we're just going to slowly roll back onto the mat, one vertebrae at a time. It's harder than it sounds. Can't really feel every single vertebrae. So the head is the last bit to come down. So keeping the neck nice and long, chin tucking into the chest. Let's allow the arms to come out wide, the legs to come out wide into our final resting pose here. Awesome. So I really hope that practice was something that you can, keep coming back to over and over every time you start to feel, that little bit of tension. For me, it's every day. So a lot of these moves are things that I do pretty often, and it really helps. So, be kind to your body. Feel free to hang out here for as long as you want. But that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you next time. Namaste.